Hey everybody, Trainer Joe here. Special episode of Facebook Live. I want to talk to you about eating cake or losing weight. You want to eat cake or you want to lose weight? Plato said the greatest wealth is to live content with little. If you can do this with food, your weight problem is over. Live content with little. Really, just be content with enough. Because we're not talking about under eating in order to be the right weight. We're really just talking about stopping when you've had enough. The problem is we live in a culture that is entitled and indulgent. And it has affected us. And we tend to gauge our intake by how we feel. Feel like eating some more, so we eat some more. But that's kind of like asking an 8-year-old, hey, have you had enough candy? Or, and pardon the example, but it's kind of like asking an alcoholic, hey, have you had enough beer? You know, that's not the way we tend to do it. How do you feel? Well, I'd like some more. We're entitled, we're indulgent, it's so easy to do poorly. My daughter said that one time. She said, Dad, I don't have a problem eating healthy, but it's so easy to eat bad. Yummy food is available, it's affordable, it's enjoyable. And now the way they make it with fat, sugar, and salt, it's hyper palatable. So it's like, what am I supposed to do? Without a plan, we can just gain weight without any effort whatsoever. Without a plan to lose or to not overeat, we tend to naturally just find ourselves eating more than we need, weighing more than we should. I was talking to my wife about this one time, and she likes these bars. They're called Yasso bars. You ever had a Yasso bar? They're just 100 calories. And she was eating one and she said, this is so good. So good. She said, I'm just going to eat one. She said, but I would really like 3. See how happy she is eating that? My wife knows she can eat 1 and do okay. She'd really like 3. If she eats 3, and that becomes the norm for her, she weighs more than she wants to weigh. And a lot of people feel like eating 3, so they eat 3. We're indulgent and we're entitled. I'm entitled to 3. I can afford 3. I like 3. 3 tastes good. It feels better than 1. And that tends to be how we live. Here's some of my favorite foods. I really like the Breyers peanut butter ice cream. I like Rice Krispie treats with chocolate melted on top. I like peanut butter Captain Crunch. And I like fried fish. It can be, matter of fact, I really like just the Long John Silver's fried fish dipped in tartar sauce. And then, of course, Krispy Kreme donuts, right? When they're just the texture of those, when they just come out. I'd like to eat a whole bunch of that. And I can eat some of that and be as healthy as I want to be. But I'm willing to feel what it feels like to not eat as much of that as I would like in order to weigh 165 pounds at 5'10 and a half. I can't eat as much of that as I want. I want lots more than that. And there's this feeling when I stop or not have it at all, it's kind of an emptiness. And I'm kind of empty, kind of hungry. I'm feeling hungry when that's there, and I'm choosing not to eat it. And that's why I teach people, you know what you're going to have to do? You're going to have to embrace the hunger. Of course you want more. Want it in my belly. I was Stopped by my mother-in-law's house, and I was just there for a few minutes, and I was in there, and she said, "Do you want anything to eat?" I said, "No, thanks. I already ate." She said, "How about some watermelon?" I said, "No, thank you." She said, "Well, watermelon's healthy." I had enough to eat. At some point, you've got to get this sense that I've had enough to eat. I don't need any food to eat right now, even healthy food, even watermelon. You don't need to eat just because there's food. Eat cake or lose weight. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or want. I didn't say that. The Apostle Paul said that. When you can get to the point that you're kind of hungry, you'd kind of like a little more, but you've learned to be content in that state, you don't need Jenny Craig, you don't need keto, you don't need Weight Watchers, you don't need any of that stuff, because you've just learned to live in a very reasonable way. You've moved out of the normal American culture of, I'm entitled to that, everybody else is eating that, I'm going to eat that, and the indulgent way that we tend to approach food and eating. If you would like some help because you're kind of stuck, call me for an assessment. I love doing assessments. In an assessment that lasts about an hour, I will ask you some questions and be able to identify what your problem is. And as a bonus, I'll be able to tell you what you can do to get to where you want to be, to lose the weight you want to lose it. I had one girl, she asked me one time, she said, "Joe, I see all these people you've worked with and how much weight they've lost. In just 21 days, they've lost this weight." She said, "I want to do your program, but I want to be the biggest loser." She said, "Is that possible?" I said, "Yes, it's possible. It's not probable. I've worked with a lot of people." But if she wanted to do it, she could have done it. If you want to lose some weight and you want things to change, I can sit down with you, ask you some questions, and tell you what you need to do. Now, some people aren't going to want to do it, but I can tell you, and it's reasonable. It's not crazy. So if you're ready to do an assessment, there's my number. You can reach out to me, message me, call me. If you get a hold of me and say, "Hey, I want to do an assessment," we'll either schedule it locally at a Panera or we'll do it over the phone if you're not local. Love to do these. They're a lot of fun. I can help get you free of that connection that you have that's not working for you. Because we've got to get to where, instead of relying on the feelings that I have, we can look at the scale and it says, "Hey, you've eaten too much," and we make an adjustment even though it doesn't feel like we want it to feel. I'm Trainer Joe, here to help you train your brain and transform your body.